Hello all, welcome to Hockey on Tap podcast. This is episode 104. I'm your host, Bill Dean, of course, here with my
That's a
co-hosts.
5, not a 4.
I think we're 104. I think Sam might be wrong. We might
Jump
be
the
wrong
gun?
on the count somewhere.
Sam's
but
not
yeah,
allowed,
I'm pretty sure it's
Sam's not
104.
allowed
We'll
to
see.
be wrong at math.
We are brought to you by Primetime Radio. Well, I'm here with little Steven Schwim. Obviously, you can see that.
Schwim in here.
I'm
Totally
not
messed
Schwim.
this yeah,
I'm not Schwim.
I am so far off right now. You just threw
Because it's
me off with
Thursday.
the math comment.
Yeah.
Little Steven Shorts guy, brought to you by Primetime Radio, courtesy of Sam himself. You can find me behind the board today. Brought to you by Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I am so off right now.
It's
Apple,
not brought
Google
to you by, but
Podcasts.
we are on there.
Yeah, we're on. You can find
We're
us
not
on
sponsored
Twitter,
by them, but
Instagram,
we're there.
No,
Facebook. I mean, that would be
we would like to
fantastic.
be
Twitter,
sponsored.
hey, please, Twitter, Instagram, please come by, say hi to me. I'll gladly
Throw some bucks.
Yeah, throw some, whatever you want. Facebook, YouTube, even a couple beers. We're good with that. Facebook,
Oh, yeah.
YouTube, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Please leave us a 5-star review if you would be so kind. Gentlemen, what are we drinking?
I'm drinking something that I received from my good friend William Dean. Menemsha
Right.
Creek Pale Ale that I'm going to try. I'm not going to show it to you because I'm putting it in this Brewmate that we got over the weekend
Ooh.
from the Off-Centered Society of Dogfish Head. This thing is awesome. I don't know how the beer
Does
is,
that-
but
Does
this
that
thing's great.
also become you can drink out of it too?
Yeah, it's a coffee
yes.
mug
Like
also.
water. Okay, so
Well, yeah, water
my
too.
brother, my brother got one of those as like a groomsman gift, and you can put a 12-ounce can, you could put a 16-ounce
Mhm.
can, you could put a bottle,
Mhm.
or you can just fill it up with water and enjoy that, or whatever your beverage you prefer. And it's
I haven't tried a bottle in here yet.
pretty good. Yeah,
I don't know
brand
that a
new
bottle would work in this. Not in this one, I don't think.
It might. It might if it holds it up high enough. If that little pedestal you got when it holds it up high enough.
Yeah,
it will.
yeah. There's like that pedestal. Yeah.
I've
Okay.
been using.
yes. Good point.
I've been using mine for coffee every day, and it keeps coffee incredibly hot.
Yeah, it extends those things extend like the life of either cold or hot by like 4 hours. It's pretty impressive.
It's incredible.
So,
Yeah, it's been incredible for beer.
NSG, what are you partaking in at this present moment?
Something that was purchased a long
Whoa.
while back, and we waited until this past weekend to get. I'm drinking the good old Aprahop.
I still love that artwork. I like how they
I
brought
do.
back
I
the
do
old
as well.
artwork for it too.
Oh wait, Aprahop just came out?
No, it was
it's the
exclusive.
Aprahop. It's the Aprahop that we ordered way
Oh.
back in like April. So I have 2 for you.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say, damn, you got Aprahop and I
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. It's.
I love
so
the
thanks to my
16-ounce cans too.
It's courtesy of my sister who went and picked it up for us.
I am very
but
excited.
We saw her
Who we just met.
over the weekend. Yeah, we saw her over the weekend when Steve Schwim and I ran the Dogfish Dash. Aprahop is it's an IPA brewed with apricot puree, and it's a fan favorite classic. Obviously,
It is awesome.
It's the fruit beer.
Yeah.
Right. This is the best. Aprahop is the fruit beer for people who don't like fruit beer, and also
It's true.
for people who do like fruit beer. So
Because it's not like overly fruity. It is
no,
an IPA with notes, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying.
I have not. I've not had
Dogfish
it
Dash,
in a
by the
while.
way.
So
Everybody
Good time.
should sign up for that. That was an awesome time.
yeah,
Free beer
Everyone
when you're
should sign
done.
up after we sign up.
Yeah. Make sure we get our spot first, and then you can sign up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will be there next year partaking.
Excuse me a moment.
Obviously had a
next year.
Yeah, I'll run. Obviously, I had a wedding to go to this year. My co-host on Football Primetime, hockey lover himself, Andrew Dean, got married. So big congrats to him, Schwim.
Congrats.
And
congrats, AJ.
it was a great night. Had a lot of fun. Schwim might have got punched in the face, and Steven might have cracked my hip, but we're good.
Yep.
We're all celebrating. So congrats to him. I mean, let's just get to what's on tap for today's episode. Here's a weekly snapshot.
What are you drinking?
Oh yeah, damn. See,
You're
your
a mess.
comment in the beginning has really just thrown me right off. Making fun of Sam and his ability and just all over the place right here.
Don't blame it
Nightmare.
on me.
Colombian Necktie. I've had this before, but it's still a good one. It's that sour. That goes a sour by Nightmare that has mangoes, lulo, sour sop, and Colombian lime zest. It's one of the fan favorites, but always a good time.
Nice.
And the artwork, we always talk about this. The artwork's ridiculous.
Oh, their artwork is fantastic.
Quite violent.
Yes,
it is, but quite entertaining at the same time.
All right, that's some bad list, Harry. Obviously, the throwback to Jaws, but that is in regards to the list of the most handsome NHL head coaches as directed by, I don't know, some online. I was trying to look it up, but it's some online face recognition app that can judge handsomeness by some kind of algorithm, right? And this beautiful thing was able to give us, it's not scary, was able to give us a ranking of head coaches. And I sent this to you guys, so I know you know who's number one. But would you have ever thought that Jay Woodcroft would be ranked the number one best looking most handsome head coach in the NHL?
No.
Yeah, no. On top of that, Daryl Sutter is number 2.
Yeah.
That's weird.
That's
John
that's
Hines
rough.
and his bald head is number 4. Rick Bowness is number 6. John Tortorella is 9. Rob Brindamore, and the most wrecked of all noses in the world, is tied for 10 with Dean
Top
Evison.
10. That's so odd.
And then in the top 16, so the top half of all NHL coaches, at number 16 himself, Pudgy Cheeks, Bruce Boudreau. He is the top half of coaches. And at the bottom, you have pretty much the best-looking coaches in David Quinn, Jim Montgomery, and Peter Laviolette. Also, Mike Sullivan, pretty good-looking dude. John Cooper, not
John
bad.
Cooper's down there. John Cooper's
they're
down
all
at the bottom. He should be.
It's amazing. And the score they gave, David Quinn, who might be one of the better, is 6.89, and they gave Jay Woodcroft a 9.18. It's Daryl Sutter got an 8.9 on the handsomeness. It's amazing. I had to lead with that, right? It's so outright. And obviously Boudreau, when he heard about this, because they went up to him like, what do you think about you being in the top half of the NHL's most handsome coaches? He goes, I shouldn't be anywhere near that list. So at least Brucey is having some fun with it.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right. Even more importantly is I was right and Steve was wrong. We had a monster of a contract come out last week. The end of last week, sorry. Nathan McKinnon signs an 8-year deal, $12.6 million per year with the Colorado Avalanche. Steve obviously agrees that it's well deserved. It's not even, he's one of the best players in the league. He deserves that much money. The fact that basketball players and baseball players and all these guys are going to hit $60 million per season. A hockey player should absolutely be in the 20s, but that just doesn't happen because it's a salary cap league, and unfortunately the NHL doesn't have the best salary cap system at the moment. But that's definitely going to hamstring. How would I'm messing that up?
Handcuff.
Thank you. I was thinking hamstring. That's definitely going to handcuff the Avs. You have him. You got Rantanen at 8 something. You have Cale Makar at 9. I think what did Landeskog get? It was over 6. He might have been over 7, right? They're going to be in cap hell pretty soon, and they're lucky that they were able to get this cup underneath that window where he's making only $6 million per year. But Steve, go ahead. I mean, I know you thought maybe he'd follow the Crosby route with McKinnon with giving a little bit of a discount, but obviously well deserved and something that no one can really complain about.
Yeah, I can't say he doesn't deserve it. He's been the biggest bargain in the league for how many years now?
Yeah.
Should he be the highest player in the league? I guess, based on cap hit, him and McDavid, I think, they're pretty much even. He's only cap hit's only like 500,000 more or less than that, 200,000, 250, something like that. I know something slight that he's above McDavid. But yeah, those two set the standard right now for who should be the highest paid in the league as far as production and everything else that they bring to their team. So good for him. He won his cup, and now he's compensating for what he was making for a long time now. And yeah, I don't know. I kind of thought, I thought he would still take a discount to keep him competitive. Granted, they're still going to be competitive, but yeah, they're gonna have some restrictions as far as their cap space goes. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I see where you were thinking he was potentially going to do what Crosby did, Steve, but I think Crosby probably had a lot more endorsement deals on the side that was going to be able to supplement by taking a bit of a discount for Pittsburgh to remain more competitive with money too. So
yeah, I mean, especially back then with Crosby. I mean, I think he was making more in endorsements than he was in his cap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's pretty much almost everywhere when it comes to hockey with endorsing everything.
Matt Banky on Facebook Live asking about Snafu Brewery out of Charleston. I've actually been to Charleston a bunch of times. I haven't had Snafu, but I've had Palmetto and a couple others. They're a pretty good brew scene down there. But yeah, sours.
Yeah. Edmund's Oast.
We're a big fan of
Edmund's Oast
sours.
is down there.
Yeah, Edmund's Oast.
I'm a big fan of Edmund's Oast.
Yep.
Hey, by the way, hey Matt, be safe as this hurricane's rolling in down there in the old South Carolina.
Yeah, please.
So
I know it's supposed to go back. It's supposed to strengthen back to a hurricane. I think it's tropical storm now.
Already
but
did.
It's supposed to strengthen back.
Did.
It's already a hurricane.
Already strengthened to a hurricane. Yeah. So Matt, I'm gonna check in with you. So I'm gonna shoot you a text.
Yeah. Be safe, man.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers to everybody down there.
Safe.
Getting affected with this. It sucks. I know of an uncle that's in Naples that got hit pretty hard. They're finally actually getting power back, but you look at Puerto Rico and they're still. It's crazy just how bad it's been. We talked about Nathan McKinnon and Steve mentioned McDavid, and judging from Connor McDavid's comments on Hockey Canada, Nathan McKinnon deserves to be the highest paid player, and they should actually strip some of McDavid's money to go to charity because he was at that NHLPA media tour last week in Vegas, and here are his comments on Hockey Canada. I'm very proud to be Canadian, very proud to represent Hockey Canada. A situation, and that was the end of his quotes. He didn't really want to say anything. He was very tone deaf. It's a situation that's obviously terrible for everybody. He said, after his comments last season on Evander Kane, is there a more out-of-touch superstar in all of sports? McKinnon and Makar did not hold back. They came out and said that it was wrong and they were disappointed. Makar even making a point about saying that, his parents have shown a lot of money to Hockey Canada, and he can only imagine what they're thinking as they're seeing this kind of thing happen. But McDavid just seems aloof, insensitive, and ill-informed, and it's actually rather disappointing. You want to believe in these high-end players, McDavid and Matthews, and they're a big prop up for the league. But when you have the top echelon stars saying just dumb shit and just not paying any attention to what's going on in the world, it's a bad look for hockey. And luckily, they had the other guys down there to kind of, I guess kind of go against him in that regard where, they're fighting back saying that they're disappointed in Hockey Canada. And he's just like, I'm happy to be a Canadian and I'm proud to represent Hockey Canada. I just don't get it.
I mean, the more that for how many years now have people been saying like, why aren't you putting this kid in the spotlight more to get people to watch? I guess, but
why?
I don't know. It seems like maybe they knew something that we didn't even prior, based on whatever his personality is and propping him up, in front of cameras and doing whatever to do these, PR pieces that, and not to be a homer, that Crosby has done so well over his career amongst, other guys, PK Subban and, players like that, that get involved and, just, it's one thing to, I almost feel like he but better off just not saying anything.
Yeah,
I guess. And it wasn't much of a comment, but it just rubs you the wrong way still, because it's like how insensitive are you about this whole situation that you just kind of you blow it all off and you're just like, I'm
I
proud
don't
of
care.
everything
Yeah.
that it represents, and whatever happened doesn't involve me, so get over it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not into
You
it.
can
Some people don't care about, what their comments are, and that's your opinion, and you could, blow this off if you want to, but I don't think it's. I agree. I don't think this is a good look for him, and yeah, I think the league is probably better off not putting him in the spotlight all the time. Let people see highlights of how good he is, and let them find stuff on their own, but don't throw him in front of the cameras for every one of these things, because there's so many coming to light now. Allegations of everything all over the place, and some people are better addressing it than others. Somebody comes to mind that's not great at addressing it. Patrick Kane, for instance, this whole
Yeah.
Chicago thing. Jonathan Taves also same.
And obviously, Patrick Kane
Yeah.
didn't really shock me. Taves was more the
No.
guy that shocked me with that one. Figured the whole Captain Canada thing. But just, you can be proud of your country, but you can also go forward and say, this is it's a bad thing that happened, and you don't have to say much. You could just say it's disappointing, or just something small. But to say you're proud, and you're proud to be a hockey player for Canada, it's so out of touch. And I don't understand.
It's irrelevant, is what it is.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Because, Hockey Canada isn't like, okay, what do you think about Canadians? It's the organization that you're talking about. We get it.
Yeah.
You could still be a proud Canadian. Canada isn't just Hockey Canada. Like, you can be a proud American and not side with, some of the atrocities that happen here. And you can still be a proud American. That's fine.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the country itself. But, where negative opinions should come up for him, like, you should have an opinion on this, and not that I'm a proud Canadian. It's just like, okay, cool, man. What about the question you just blew off?
Yeah. I didn't want to get into the negative light, but go ahead, Shorts.
No, I was just gonna say, I think this kind of just shows his personality, and it could potentially come down to he just doesn't care, and is not.
Well, he obviously
is
didn't
not wanting to. Well, with the comment, yeah, it shows he doesn't care, but he may also just want to. He just may not want to get involved. And,
it goes all the way back to the Vander Kane situation, right? Where he's like, I don't really care what he did. I'm just happy to have him as a teammate. That's not the amazing.
Yeah, it's just it sounds like with the history, it's just his personalities. He only cares about playing hockey and doing what he's doing. It's a very selfish sounding personality trait that it seems like he has. But these guys are superstars, and they have to be faces of they have to be public faces whether they like it or not. But they're at the end of the day, they're also people, and we're all different, and we're all have different opinions on how we want to handle stuff. Not to say that it's right what he did, but this is definitely showing why the league doesn't market him like they should, because he's just not going to go out there and be a glowing example of of probably what people want for the league. But we're also now in a time period where it's almost expected for all these superstars to also be voices of change, progress, reason, whatever you want to call it. Just some people just are not that way. Some people just don't care. He just seems like he just doesn't care. It may not mean
there should have just been a blanket statement, like just some kind of blanket statement. His PR crew, or I'm sure he has somebody who helps him through things like this, but just like a blanket statement to say something generic, like, fine, it's just, and not that what he said was horrible. It's just like, come on, man, just like show something, show some sort of opinion on this thing. Like, you were asked a question about something really horrible. Don't just blow it off like no one even asked you the question. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Shorts guy wanted me to just note that obviously the Devils are winning 3-1. It's season. Congrats.
Yeah.
All right. So also getting
you've got
paid.
You've got Shesterkin.
Yeah, it's all right.
Uh-oh.
Also getting paid. Tim Stutzla, 8x8.35. Pretty much putting the Rangers on notice with Lafreniere. If Lafreniere has a big year, I could see him making more than this. So that's tough contract if you're a Ranger fan. I mean, I would have no problems if he earns that, but just in general, that's going to be tough on the cap. Spencer Knight, talk about goaltenders for Florida. I mean, now he's at 4.5 for the next 3 years. They're paying over $13 million for 2 goaltenders. That is fantastic.
Is this eclipse
for
what
a
the
while?
Sharks did?
What was that?
Eclipse what the Sharks did?
I think, I think it was Eclipse. Yeah,
The Sharks or Vegas? I thought Vegas had the most, didn't they? Vegas had 7 and I think they had like 12 or something like that.
The Sharks recently just had, and I can't remember who it was, but it was the last 2 or 3 seasons I remember talking about it. But the Sharks had this
like
dumb.
They had over $13 million in goalie cap.
They had a
I don't think so. It was Martin Jones and Devin Dubnyk, wasn't it? And it was
that's bad.
a lot of money for complete mediocrity.
Yeah. Yes.
That was probably 2 years ago when they all of a sudden just tanked, right? And they gave it that first round pick for Erik Karlsson. Oh, the shorts guy.
Froze.
Oh, no, you're back.
There it is. I'm back.
But and lastly, Jake Ettinger, Ottinger.
There you go.
4. Yeah, I know.
It's a good contract for Dallas.
Yeah, very good. Very good young goaltender who showed his mettle in the playoffs, and he's going to be good. And he can really be a difference maker there. They're going to need that help with an aging core. So good on them. A couple injuries. Tavares could miss the first 3 weeks of the season with an oblique injury. So good job, Toronto. Friend of the podcast, Brock Besser, could miss up to 4 weeks of the season after surgery on his hand. Nolan Patrick, I feel so bad for this kid. Out for the season.
I know,
They've
me
already
too.
declared it. Missed most of last year with upper body and concussion issues. And, obviously you want him to wish him the best. He had so much promise, and I know it was between him and Heishier and all that stuff, but he really had that type of, ability to, as a hockey player, to go number one and, to go number one, for the Devils if they had wanted to take him, but just really tough. And you wish for, the kid to get healthy and maybe he could eventually, resurrect his career a little bit.
You have to expect, he's got to be considering calling it quits.
Retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, this is bad. It's not something you want to mess around with, and it just keeps happening over and over, and it's more than likely going to continue. So how much can you really put on your brain? I mean, there's got to be, the doctors have got to be trying to talk him out of trying to do this again.
He was injury prone going into that draft.
Yeah,
and
he had concussions going into the draft,
and
concussion issues, back then, and
it makes sense that he would be a flyer for a little bit with what Eric Lindros dealt with. But
a little bit of a coincidence.
With what he turned into and what Nico Hischier has turned into, that was one of the smartest drafts I think that the Devils did with, by the numbers and by everything.
I mean, if they could have had a Norris Trophy winning defenseman at number 2, but they decided to pass that one.
Do we have to?
I think Steve's lost. We're having all sorts of technical issues right now.
I know. Do we have to discuss 2003?
No, I'm just saying you could have had Cale Makar, so I think that's absolutely right in my wheelhouse to give you a little shit for it. So, but that's quite okay.
And you can, but I think for what was touted as.
Sure, you didn't miss me.
What was touted as who should have been top 1 that year, the first overall. I think
Patrick,
the Devils made the smart decision.
Agreed. He has made $6 million in his career, so hopefully, if it is quits, he did well with his money and he's able to live off that, which you should be. But that's
hopefully he had good people around him. That's always the worry with a young kid.
Not Jack Johnson's parents. Lastly, also out for the season, and one of what I can think of is only the worst trades in NHL history in the last few years. Ryan Ellis with his back injury. Philadelphia, I mean, they are looking real bad right now. Ellis obviously traded the Flyers by the Predators 2 years ago. He missed most of last year. I think he played in 4 games, had 4 points. He was acquired. Nashville got Felipe Myers.
It's now gone.
Yep. Nolan Patrick, who then they sent to the Golden Knights for Glass, for Cody Glass. So they still have Cody Glass, I guess, and they can. It's not looking good, right? That's all around a bad trade, and this guy, he had some injury
They announced
issues
he's
with
done.
Nashville.
They announced he's done for the year.
They announced he's
I
done.
missed that. I know that there was question marks about whether it be a couple weeks or whatever. It's been such a mystery also the entire time. Just nothing. Yeah, that's
what?
No good.
But with the Flyers not looking so good right now, you know what this is setting up? This is setting up for some very, very entertaining John Tortorella pressers.
Entertaining Tortorella press conferences, but can you imagine Philly getting Connor Bedard as the worst team? I might hate myself.
That's a real chance.
Suck. Yeah, that's really
them in Chicago. It's going to be a fight for the bottom. And not that the bottom will definitely win it, but they'll have the best chance.
I mean, if there are hockey gods, I know that Arizona is going to play in a college arena, and it's shitty, but they deserve it more than anybody. And hopefully they are the ones that get it, because I hate them the least. But you're looking at some of these teams that have an option: Montreal and Philly and Chicago with the bullshit they're going through. I don't want those guys to get them. I'd rather have Edmonton get like him miraculously if they were out of the play. That's what I'd rather see than have him go to one of these teams that is just going to be making my life miserable. So,
what if the Devils tank and get Bedard?
That would be very funny if they tank. I wouldn't. I mean, if you were telling me right now that I could get Connor Bedard and I'd have to withstand one of the worst seasons by a Rangers team, I would sign up for that, because he is that type of player. It's even a top 2 pick. I would be okay with that. But it's going to be tough seeing some of these shitty teams that we all three of us don't like. Get someone like that. But all right, a couple other quick things before we head out, or before we get to our previews for the.
Already leaving.
We can leave too. Flyers, Matt Banky, absolute dumpster fire. At the time, even you knew what Makar was going to be. Was right move for the Devils with Hischier.
Yeah, it was Hischier.
I watched. Yeah, but I watched Cale Makar at UMass, and you could see how ridiculous he was. But I mean,
the overall consensus was one of those two, right? And Hischier was definitely the right one.
Yep. Rangers Flyers, Brooks versus Torts. That'd be great.
Cannot wait. Cannot wait.
It's gonna be fantastic. Lastly,
I still want the Philly Inquirer to hire Brooks as a per diem guy, just a mess.
Yeah, it would be pretty fantastic.
Just a freaking mess with Tortorella.
Canada is dropping the vaccine mandates, mask requirements for professional athletes and their visitors, so that's good for fans as well as the players and their spouses and family.
And reporters. Reporters are allowed in the locker rooms again.
Yeah,
which is also big.
Chara. Yeah. Speaking of Hall, three guys retire last week. Chara, Keith Yandel, and obviously Subban all retire on the same day. Yandel went on Spit and Chicklets to announce his retirement. Chara just kind of, told some Boston reporters that was it. And then PK obviously is going to go into the media life. He's going to podcast and probably take our jobs. But
he's got the best personality for
it. What jobs?
He does. Yeah, exactly.
He wants to be a teacher.
Chara.
I don't think he'd last a day and a half. Not at what I get paid.
Yandel is one of those guys. I could see him being an announcer as well. He's extremely charismatic and a great, storyteller. So I could see him doing it. But Zdeno Chara, I could see him getting into coaching. And, you talk about just an absolute beast and behemoth. And, you watch him as a Ottawa Senator and then as a Bruin. And he was just in his heyday. He was one of the most dominant defensemen, almost kind of like Shaq in that regard, where Shaq was just so overpowering that he could just do whatever he wanted on the basketball court. That's what Chara could do on the hockey arena. And just impressive. And, guy that I didn't want to win a cup because, I didn't like Boston at the time. But, you look back at his career and it's crazy, and he's a surefire Hall of Famer. Yandel, obviously, with the games played mark, which will be unfortunately beaten this year by Phil
7
Kessel.
games. That's all he
Yeah.
needs.
I do have a Phil Kessel question I'll have to ask you after this. And then PK, obviously, just always one for the camera, an exciting player to watch, back when from Nashville to his early day, seasons in Montreal. But a lot of fun, and all three of these guys, congrats on great careers, and, the NHL will miss you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agreed. It was a big retirement day, and it's names that we that we have seen for a very long time, and it's time for the new names to step up. That always happens.
So I was listening to, and I can't, maybe it was an athletic podcast, and they were talking about how the games played streak and how coaches hate it because obviously if the player's not necessarily playing well, it's not like they can sit them because they have to honor that. That's the whole thing happened in Florida where they wanted to bench him to start the year, and the teammates came in to Yandel's defense and basically said, no, you have to have him in the lineup. Like, that means a lot to us. So, there's that regard. But I heard that, and maybe you guys remember this, but Phil Kessel, I think it was a couple seasons ago, his wife was going to give birth, and he purposely went to the arena, played one shift, and then left, and that counted as a game played. Do you guys, is that kind of tainted if he was to get it?
No,
just because it's so ridiculous. The 9,000 before that, or 900 before that.
That's all. He literally he played while his wife was giving birth. Period.
A shift.
So a shift.
It was a shift, actually. Yeah.
So that's something. It's not like I would still call it an Ironman because it's not. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't sick. He just decided he was going to skip the first half of his child's birth to make sure to keep the streak going. And, more power to him, I guess. And more power to him. I didn't know he was married and also procreating. That's fantastic. Good for you, Phil.
We got to also give credit to his wife, girlfriend, whatever she is, for agreeing to that.
I guess
basically being like, yep, you can go do ahead. That. But it's really no different than what if he had gone out, suited up, went after warm-ups. What if he had sat the bench for, the first 59 minutes?
Yeah.
And was thrown out for the last shift of the game. It would be no different in reality.
I guess.
Or if he got hurt during the game, had to leave that game, and then he came back the next one. It's the same thing. As long as they, dress and technically play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess so.
Plus, he's got playoffs going too. I think Yandel's, he got scratched in the playoffs, so his streak was like for regular season, I believe.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on with that.
All right, a couple player news, and then we'll get into the rundown. Chychrun still awaiting a trade. I guess they had thought that he would be dealt already, and he's kind of been in and out of camp, so we'll see what happens there. Trevor Zegras' contract will wait until the end of the season. They're expecting that to be in the same range as Stützle. Toronto GM Kyle Dubas will not get a contract extension. Does he have to make it past the first round to get extended, or do you think he's even in trouble beyond that?
That's a good question. I think, because this year the moves he made this year are really risky, risky. So, if they're doing poorly mid-season, I think he's probably gone. If the goalies are just a complete, to repeat the phrase, a dumpster fire still. But I don't know. If they lose in the second round, I think he's still probably gone. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Because if they lose in the second round, is the season still a success? Or are the Toronto ownership just, they're like, it's championship or we're moving on to somebody else?
Yeah. Ray Leo said that I guess he's seen Marner playing defense. It can't be any worse than the defense they have there anyway, so good for them if that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
know,
Why not, right?
Marner does get a lot of shit, but he's a very defensively responsible forward. And if they were to blow that up, I don't think they'd trade him. I think it would be someone like because they can't find a trade for Tavares. That's just not going to happen. But I could see Nylander going as that piece because they're not going to trade Matthews unless he tells them he's not going to re-sign. And Marner is one of the top 10 players in the hockey. He really is that good. So
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
think. I mean, it would be stupid to just all of a sudden we need to clear salary space, unless they can get something like what Calgary got for Matthew Tkachuk.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get, if you could get a Cale, you're not going to get Cale Makar, but if it's a Cale Makar for Marner, that kind of trade where you're getting a stud defenseman,
you're getting a superstar of equal value, perhaps right back, which is what Calgary got. So,
yeah, he says he's been playing with Morgan Riley. I would have to think that that's some kind of maybe
it's not going to
maybe
stick.
He just said, maybe he said
he just it's like a training camp thing or something. Yeah, I don't know.
He's always wanted to play defense. They're going to let him play for a game. Yeah,
or maybe it's to sharpen his defensive skills. I don't
know. It's like every now and then when a forward jumps in goal for practice.
Yeah,
everyone thinks it's so easy.
It is easy. You're just awful at your job. All right, so
what's the score of the game, Dean?
Yep, exactly. Marian Hossa's jersey retirement. I guess the question is Seabrook and Duncan Keith next? Is that jersey retirement coming soon?
I don't know. Because how can they just they already have a lot of numbers retired. I don't know off the top of my head, but I assume being an original 6 team with some success that they have quite a few already retired. I thought the Hossa jersey retirement was slightly odd because he didn't spend the majority of his career there.
Not at all, yeah.
So
you know what I don't mind, and I kind of liked it seeing. Oh, what was that?
Whoa.
That was me.
Oh, okay. What I don't mind is watching Dallas. They have 88 as like a ceremonial. We'll give this to the guy that we think deserves it, and obviously that's why CeeDee Lamb wears it now. But you've had 88 retired, Michael Irvin and Drew Pearson, and even 88 was Des Bryant. So I like that they do that. So maybe if you want to retire a number, you could put it up in the rafters, but still use it for like those special people. Maybe that's some way to get around, being able to retire multiple numbers if you really wanted to. I don't know.
What's the point? What's the point of retiring a number then?
Well, I guess
or are
88.
They just what's those 81, right? Is that what he was? Or 18? 81, right? On Chicago?
Was Marian Hossa.
I mean, it's not really. I guess it's probably not a number that many are gonna come fighting for. So it's not like a Seabrook with a 7. I mean, if you're retiring 7. I mean, that's tough. A lot of guys wear 7, and Duncan Keith, what was he? 4?
4, yeah. I mean, I guess NHL, there's only 20 guys versus football. There's 50-something, so you need all those numbers. Maybe that's, but Dallas does do that. So, all right, let's get to our.
At some point, we'll start seeing NHL teams doing what the Mexican soccer teams do: give 3-digit numbers. 237.
That would be very funny. All right.
Hey, at least none of our teams are digging up guys in the past to retire numbers for just the hell of it.
Yeah, very true.
Like the Rangers.
All right. Central Division. Next week we'll do both the Atlantic and Metropolitan to finish up before start of hockey next Friday, guys. Next Friday, NHL's back. They're going to be in Czech Republic. Well, possibly. I mean, there's a rumor that. San Jose might not go. Mike Greer said it that he, all his players go or none of his players go. So we'll see how that happens. But the games are supposed to be that Friday, Saturday, and it would be obviously San Jose versus Nashville. A couple Russians on both those teams. So we'll see what happens there. But Arizona Coyotes finished last in the Central, 31st league-wide. They were 25, 50, and 7. Notable offseason roster additions, Zach Kassian was in a trade. Patrick Nemeth was another trade. They made a lot of trades, not very good ones, but Troy Stetcher, Josh Brown, Nick Bustad. off-season subtractions. See you later, hot dog eating Phil Kessel, Anton Strawman, Alex Galchenyuk, Louis Eriksson, Antoine Roussel, and Jay Beagle. Those awful contracts that they gave out 3 years ago are finally over. So adios to those three. Obviously rebuild in every sense of the word. Actually, when you think about it, the roster and the rink are both under construction. You look at this, and the most exciting thing is they're going to play in Mullet Arena. Clayton Keller, Lawson Krause, Nick Schmaltz stepping up as leaders, but the product's obviously really bad, and they're going to be a tenant in a smaller arena. Their goaltenders aren't good. Karel Velimaka, I know I completely butchered that name. 52 games worth of NHL experience, and now his second year, and is 368 goals against, 898 save. There's just not much you can say about a team that needs a lot of help. Barrett Hayton, I don't know. Is this the worst team in hockey?
I don't know, because Philadelphia is also really quite bad. So Chicago.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Chicago has the star power of Taves and Kane currently. But I guess if you want to add Seth Jones there too. I don't know. Arizona's going to be terrible again. They're a bad team that just never gets better. And they're so random. I think that's what makes them so bad. There's just there's no continuity in the lineup. It's just whoever is left over that wants to keep playing hockey, go to Arizona.
Yeah, completely agree.
I'll go play.
Yeah, I will too.
I'll be there.
I'll go play. You know what though? I think I'm one of the few that actually loves the idea of them in a smaller arena.
It'll be fun.
I like that smaller. I just kind of I've always liked a lot of things in small spaces, small venue shows, small arenas, something like that. It may prove to be a good atmosphere instead of obviously they have been so terrible for so long that their fan base is not there anymore. But having a small space like that on a college campus, which could bring in a ton of loud and drunk people.
Yeah.
It has the potential. It has the potential to turn into a home atmosphere that could in turn benefit them. And I'm going out on a limb, but it's got that weird potential that everyone is kind of making fun of, but then all of a sudden you're going to get in this tight the tight spaces with uncomfortable locker rooms for the visitors.
Yeah.
Just loud, raucous, drunk college kids and a bunch of, transplants from other parts of the country. You never know.
You think they give the student discounts?
Yeah, I think it certainly has the potential to be cool, but I don't think it's going to change results.
I would
really.
Go. I would
They're just I would too, but it's just I think that
they're still
a bad team. They're still a bad team that's going to just be bad. So no matter what, maybe we'll give a little added juice depending on if they can actually sell it out. I don't know, which remains to be seen. Such a small capacity.
5,000 seats.
But who knows how? I don't know what the cost. Do we know what the cost of tickets are yet?
Well, they're apparently more expensive. Yes.
Yeah, but if that doesn't go well and they have a bunch of college kids that are doing nothing on campus,
there's no way college kids are going to be paying like a couple $100 to go see a game.
But what I was going to finish saying, but if it doesn't work out with the prices they have, they could change those prices to bring those just to get the people in the arena. But I think that they have the potential they have the potential to steal games if the visiting teams are just not comfortable playing there.
Okay, here we go.
That's where it could be an advantage.
Definitely had
Arizona
X factor there.
Yeah, Arizona State's new 5,000 seat multi-purpose arena will be the following ticket prices for Arizona Coyotes hockey games. Top season ticket price for ASU Arena at the Glass is $14,350 for a full season, 41 games. That
Okay.
ticket and center ice club seats are $10,000, which include club access and concessions. The cheapest full season ticket is $3,600 for the far corners around the goal where the Coyotes attack in the second period. Median is about $157 per game. Yeah, I mean, you're not getting any college students with that.
No, they're gonna have to
No, I
change
mean
that.
if you're charging $80, $90 for a seat, they're not going to that. That's for a college kid. There's no way.
They're gonna have to change it. They're gonna have to change it.
Single game tickets to the Coyotes' last game at Gill Arena are priced at $54 at their lowest, so they jumped $100 in ticket price. Wow.
They're gonna have to change it.
And then Coyotes owner Alex Murillo submitted a $1.7 billion arena and entertainment complex plan to the Tempe City Council in September. It still is yet to be finalized. Okay. Chicago Blackhawks. We just talked about them. A team that, seventh in the Central last year, missed the playoffs, 28, 42, and 12. They bring in a couple of vets, Jack Johnson, Max Domi, goaltender Alex Stalock, Andreas Athanasiou, Colin Blackwell, Peter Mrazek to round out net. They say goodbye to their youth in Kirby Dach, DeBrincat, and Strome, which is just still amazing to me that you deal off your young guys when you're trying to rebuild, but that's what the Blackhawks do. All they have left is, Steve talked about it. You have Kane, you have Taves, and you have Seth Jones. You can't trade Seth Jones because of that contract. You could probably, do something to sell off Taves as a third line center, come the trade deadline. And you could definitely deal Patrick Kane, although it sounds like Kane wants to stay there and he's okay with being in a rebuild. He's won 3 cups. He likes Chicago, and he wants to, I guess, kind of grow with the youth. This team is going to be real bad. Your number one center next to Patrick Kane is Max Domi, and we've seen how good Max Domi is. That is going to be a real bad team.
And Max Domi was a bad fourth line center, so I don't know what. In fact, he's the last 2 seasons he's been basically a fourth line center. So yeah, I don't know. But on bad teams like that, they're going to score some goals and somebody's got to produce some points. So maybe he'll produce more than he was. But yeah, I think Kane is the easiest to trade out of those 3, hands down. Now, whether or not and also he can be traded and re-signed there. That could still be a thing. So
I think he
whether
likes
or not
the
he
idea.
moves.
Sorry.
No, continue.
Well, yeah, I heard that a lot of people say that he likes the idea of he's going to be the all-time leading points guy for Chicago, and to play for one team, and he really likes the sound of that. I heard a lot from Elliot Friedman on this, but he's big on wanting to finalize his career there and be the all-time leading guy, have his number retired among a lot of very good players, and maybe that's just the way he wants to do it.
Well, he's going to have a contract before the trade deadline for that to happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can't imagine he's not moved.
Yeah,
ownership can't take that risk. He can say all the right things, but he can still go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Taves is a little harder sell. They're going to, with Kane, they're going to have to retain salary for both of them. But with Kane, probably a little less. But Taves, you're going to have to eat 50%. Absolutely, for somebody, because at this point in his career, what we're seeing is that he's not a star, first line center, second line center that he was. He's a depth player now. So, it's going to be somebody looking for depth, which at the trade deadline, that's mainly what people are looking for.
Yeah, they're looking to round out teams.
So, yeah. But Kane, a trade deadline acquisition, obviously that's going to net you a good bounty also.
You should get a first.
So, we'll see.
That's how the Blackhawks could potentially get Bedard.
Yeah. Their top 2 lines in camp so far has been Taves centering Colin Blackwell and Tyler Johnson, and Max Domi centering Patrick Kane and Taylor Radish. That is god awful. The Jones brothers are playing together, and then it goes to Jack Johnson and Riley Stillman. So
He's the second pairing.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's bad. All right, Winnipeg Jets, 39, 32, and 11, sixth in the Central. They just missed the playoffs last year. This year, this offseason was not kind of them subtractions. Paul Stastny, Eric Comrie, they do gain David Rittich and Sam Gagner, but they, with the whole issue with stripping the captaincy from Blake Wheeler, and just players kind of being a little upset with Mark Scheifele leading that. It just in general, was looking for a trade, and then he kind of went back on that. They have a lot of pieces that are extremely interesting, right? Kyle Connor is one of the best goal scorers in the league, and he's still very young at 25. Nikolai Ehlers, another kid that, if he could stay healthy, he's a point per game player. They have a rookie coming in Cole Perfetti, who's very talented, can put the puck in the net. Pierre-Luc Dubois is an extremely, controversial yet talented two-way center. You look at this lineup and they have stars all the way around, and it's a team you would figure they kind of remind me of the San Jose Sharks, where they have this talent and they just can't seem to get the wins. And that's, it's sad for a team that obviously is trying to win, but they just can't seem to get over that hump. They don't really have any star defensemen. Josh Morrissey, Neil Pionk are their top pairs. Brendan Dillon. They have an elite, I'd still say an elite goaltender in Connor Hellebuyck, but, what do you guys think about this team? Is this a team that can make the playoffs and theoretically win a couple rounds?
Couple rounds, I don't know about that. I think that they can fight for a spot like they did last year for sure, and they should, because, like I said, they have their roster is equipped to fight for a playoff spot. It's not equipped to win a cup, but if you have the Vezina Trophy winning Hellebuyck in net, which, if I'm not mistaken, he won the Vezina. Oh, it's 2 years ago now, right?
2 years ago. Yeah.
So I think he was on an every other year thing, where he was like Vezina nominee 1 year, the next year he was hot garbage. Vezina nominee or winning it, and then hot garbage. But now we got 2 years. I think I think they just burned him out at this point. I think he just played entirely too much. So they have to figure out how to ease that load for him in this next coming season, hopefully. But yeah, I think they can fight for playoffs. Whether or not they make it, the West is pretty top loaded, and then there's just a kind of a mess at the bottom and the middle. So I think they can certainly compete, but they're not going anywhere if they make the playoffs.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Fifth in the Central, Nashville Predators. They got swept by the Avs in round one of the Cup playoffs. They bring in a defenseman that me and Shrim know all too well, and Ryan McDonough. They also deal for Nino Niederreiter, Kevin Lankinen. They bring in. They lost Luke Kunin in that trade. Matt Benning, David Rittich.
Seems
Phil
to be
Forsberg
4-1
signs.
right now.
It's 4-1. That's all right.
Yes, it is.
Phil Forsberg signs that long-term deal, giving Nashville, a little consistency in scoring. Niederreiter is going to be a good free agency addition for a top 6 spot.
A good price too, by the way, for Niederreiter.
Yeah, exactly.
2.5 or what is? It's a good contract.
Yeah, but that defensive core, obviously Roman Josi, the Norse second in the Norse voting, and probably should have won, but Cale Makar is obviously ridiculous. Matthias Sackholm and now Ryan McDonough, so a stud blue line there. Lankinen's obviously backing up UC Saros, who was number 2 in Vezina voting. They quietly had a couple of trophy caliber players, and they're a good, consistent squad. Matt Duchene had a bounce back year. Same with Ryan Johansson. History tells us they'll come back down to earth, with such a deep division, and it being so talented. But Cody Glass is there for them to fill in a third line spot. What do you guys think about Nashville?
I think they'll be similar to what they were last year. I think they have a solid roster, and I actually disagree with most people's opinion on John Hines. I think he's at worst a decent coach.
Yeah.
And there's questionable decisions and many coaches around the league, but I think they'll be. I don't know. I think they'll make the playoffs. I don't think this division is as deep or as strong as it once was. So I think they have a legitimate chance. And like you said, you have a perennial Norris Trophy candidate, and probably another potentially Vezina Trophy candidate in UC Saros as well. And if you have that big time defenseman and big time goalie, you can accomplish a lot in this league. So even if the rest of your roster is kind of bland on paper, but they need Johansson and Duchesne to keep up what they were doing last year, and hopefully have some of those complementary players. What's his name? Jeannot, right? The rookie from last year.
Yep. Yeah, Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, if he keeps going the way that he's going, it's a solid team.
Yeah. Shorts, anything on Nashville?
Yeah, I think that they can definitely do well. It's definitely, after having visited the city last November, I really would like to check out a Predators game there. So if they're doing well, that would make the atmosphere that much better. But I do think they have a chance. They can, they're competing with the likes of, they have to be better than, Chicago, Arizona, the Jets. Yeah. So that really helps that really helps their chances.
On paper, they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
On paper, I think they are. And obviously, Chicago and Arizona are almost like guaranteed wins, basically. So that helps them. So they just need to be top 3, right? So it's possible.
Fourth in the division, Dallas Stars. They lose to the Flames in round 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. They bring in Mason Marchment from Florida, Colin Miller. They deal off, longtime favorite John Klingberg. They let him just go in free agency. They also lost Radulov, Braden Holtby, and Andre Sakara. They also bring in Pete DeBoer, another just retread that teams continually go after.
Yeah, it's
weird. He's not going to get him a cup. He's really not.
No, he's not. Obviously a healthy Tyler Seguin will go a long way. Same thing with their captain Jamie Benn.
Yeah.
Joe Pavelski, Father Time is still not caught up with him, and he's still as ridiculous as ever. That top line with Guryanov, Hintz, and they have Marchman up there now, but it's obviously Robertson.
Got to sign Robertson.
And, yeah, that's the big thing. His contract.
I don't know what the heck's happening there. But I don't know what the argument could possibly be in Dallas's. Like, he should be making,
I think it's
at least Stutzla's. And you have to give him the 8 years. I don't know. I know they probably want a bridge deal like they did with Ottinger, but goalies just get bridge deals. That's just what happens. Yeah. You don't do that to your star young forward. Like, you gotta give him the term. That's what he wants. You give him, you had him his breakout rookie year, and then he followed it up with an even better year. So, pay the guy. He sees what all these other, rookies are getting with their first NHL contract, like Stutzla, for instance. He needs to get at least that.
Yeah, they were talking about 3 years, 7.5, because if they get in the 8-year range, it's going to be $9 million because he just scored 40 goals, right? Was that he get 40 something goals last year? The kid's nasty. Is he another American or is he Canadian? I can't remember. He's American. Go American boy, so that'll be nice. But they need to get this kid paid. Look at their defense: Ryan Suter, Mira Heiskanen, Esa Lindell, and now they have former Ranger Niels Lundqvist, who hopefully the Rangers get a first-round pick. So, looking forward to.
You're not getting.
Well, I didn't say Bedard. It's top 10 protected, so it can't happen. But
yeah, they can't get it from Dallas.
Yeah, we could get it from ourselves.
You could.
I'll take it right now. I will take a complete tank if we get Bedard.
Good one,
next year would be your season because it would be
Galant's. The NHL thinks it's green because they recycle coaches.
Very good, Schweb. All right, so off of the Dallas Stars to the number 3 squad, we have the St. Louis Blues, right? 49-22-11, lost to the Avs in round 2. They bring in Tomas Greiss as a backup, Noah Chari. They lose David Perron, who he'll probably be back at the trade deadline. He can't. He's obviously signed a 4-year deal with Detroit, but also lose Ville Husso. Binnington, this is his team now once again, and I can't be any more less confident in a number 1 guy than I am with Jordan Binnington. He's just, the salary cap obviously, pushed Ville Husso out, and they needed some help. They re-sign 2 of their big guys in Thomas and Kyrou. You guys, they're always a tough team to play against, St. Louis, and they're a lot of fun to watch in certain places. You got Ryan O'Reilly, one of the better two-way centers. Buchnevich is out there, and he had a great year last year, 76 points, career high. Tarasenko comes back and quiet 82 points after you thought that he was going to get traded and kind of leave. Nick Leddy and Parayko, I like Parayko a lot. Torrey Krug has that big deal still for another 4 or 5 years. This team is pretty much what it is, which is a middle-of-the-pack team that's going to continually be, competitive. You guys don't think they're anything more than that, right? Yeah. This is not a cup contender?
No, I don't think so. A tough team to play against. They're still heavy and skilled. So the cup contender, we looked at them when they won the cup and they weren't a cup contender. So who knows in the West, right? But I don't trust Binnington in the slightest bit. So, and that's going to be huge for them. And I think Ville Husso had an outstanding season, and you let him go. So now you're stuck with Jordan Binnington again. So
the thing is,
same old.
Binnington has that ability. It's just a matter of does he find it again or not? If he can find it again,
or was it just dumb luck?
Fluke.
Just a hot streak. Just a hot streak that just died off like Jim Carrey of the Washington Capitals.
I love Jim Carrey. All right,
the Portland Pirates.
Yeah. Right, the team that number 2 in the Central, the team that kind of came out of nowhere last year, Minnesota Wild, 53-22-7, second, like I said, in the Central, lost to the Blues in the first round of the Cup playoffs. They bring in Philip Gustafsson, Nick Patan. They let Cam Talbot go after Marc-Andre Fleury resigns. Kevin Fiala goes to LA. Nick Delorier also is allowed to leave. They're bringing in some youth. They have Boldy. They have Marco Rossi. They have some talented players with obviously Kaprizov is one of the best in the league at 25. Ryan Hartman had a career year at 28, first line center. Matt Zuccarello had another career year at 79 points last year. They have a bunch of guys that are steady and you like seeing them out there. Tyson Yost and Eriksson Ek, Foligno. Their defense, which used to be the strength, I think is kind of starting to age a little bit. Brodin, the captain, Jared Spurgeon, Matt Dumba. And then obviously you have Fleury in the back end. This team can't, bring what they did last year, right? It's got to kind of fall back to earth, especially with the cap issues that they have.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think losing Fiala was a big blow.
Hit.
I think Fiala is a super talented player, and
85 points.
Yeah, well, I don't agree that I don't think that was the best move, but you do what you got to do to with this cap. They made the bed with the whole Suter Parisi thing, and I can't remember the number that just dead money between those two.
I can tell you right now.
It's rough, but this team it's another team that should certainly compete for a playoff position, and a solid roster. No, again, nobody but Kirill Kirill is blowing you away
Boldy.
when you look at their names. Boldy had a good season, a good start to the season, which is promising. So his rookie season was pretty good, and hopefully he builds from that. Sophomore slumps are very much a thing, so hopefully that doesn't happen there. But they have some guys that can certainly compete, but just like the rest of the guys the rest of the teams that we were just talking about, I see them in the same category as a Nashville Predators, or I guess even a St. Louis Blues, where they're going to compete, and who finishes where amongst the standings of those three.
Yep.
I couldn't tell you, because it's kind of random at that point as to just who finds success or who finds the diamond in the rough that is a game changer for them in the season. So, but they'll compete. I think even with the problems, the cap hell that they're in. I think Guerin has done a pretty good job constructing a pretty talented roster. So
2022 buyout money, $12.7 million, 16.5% of their salary cap is in those two this year. That is rough. That's really rough.
Yeah, it's really bad. And Guerin didn't sign him to those contracts, but
no, I know he didn't.
Buying him out was a rough, tough decision.
Yep.
He's
but
doing
bringing
a good
in
job
Marco
cleaning up the
Rossi,
mess that wasn't his.
Yeah. Marco Rossi is going to obviously, kind of fill some of the shoes Fiala. You hope with Boldy can do the same thing.
Hopefully.
Obviously, Fiala's still a major hit, but and also leaving Cam Talbot, who that was probably the best 1A 1B tandem last year, right, Steve? I mean, that was Talbot was awesome, and he leaves for Ottawa, and I know Fleury.
And Talbot got better when Fleury came over, because Talbot was really. I mean, that's the reason why they went after Fleury is because of how poorly that tandem was doing. Of him and remind me he went to San Jose, right? He's over in San Jose. Is their number one now? Hakkinen? Yeah. I mean, that was supposed to be. I mean, they were supposed to be the guys, and the reason why they went after Fleury was because of how poorly they both were doing. And then Fleury comes over, and Talbot finds his game and played very well at the end of the season. But I get it. Talbot wants to start and he wants to play. So
Trim, I hate him.
Force your way.
All right. Stanley Cup champions, Colorado Avalanche, 56-19-7, President's Trophy winners, first in the Central, won the Stanley Cup for the third time in franchise history. They notable offseason, additions: Alexander Georgiev, Evan Rodriguez. Subtractions: some pretty big names: Nazem Kadri, Darcy Kemper, Andrei Burakovsky. Jack Johnson was on the team. Nico Sturm, Abe Kubel, who obviously dented the cup. That jerk. Good news is they found the winning formula. They're the odds-on favorite to do it again. Core remains pretty much intact. McKinnon, the loss of Kadri as the second-line center is going to hurt, but they're hoping that Newhook can step up in a larger role. Evan Rodriguez can obviously give them some versatility on third and fourth lines. Most likely third line. He's not going to be a fourth liner, but then that blue line, right? And we're talking all-world defenseman and Cale Makar, a top 5 player in the NHL. Devon Taves, his coming out party last year where you could just see how rock steady he was the entire playoffs. Sam Girard comes back from injury. He's 24. He's, a very good second line defenseman for them. Josh Manson, he was around to kind of provide the physical on that back end. And then, Bowen Byram at only 21 had a really good playoffs. Their defense is loaded. Eric Johnson's the 6th defenseman. And then you look at goaltenders. They obviously let, like we said, Darcy Kemper leave. They bring in New York Rangers, Alexander Georgiev, second-round pick. They send back to the Rangers. They still have Francouz. Is this still – I mean, I think it's the team to beat. But you think this is a better team than last year, or do you think they kind of took a step back?
I think they took maybe a little hit, but they're essentially – I think they're essentially the same. Kadri, it's a big loss, Kadri, but you're hoping Nichushkin builds off of what he did in the playoffs. I mean, the guy was a monster, and they gave him a monster contract. So hopefully he builds on that. And like you said, Newhook taking a step, downgrade in goal for sure. And you can knock Kemper for his somewhat mediocre performance in the playoffs, but he played well enough for them to pretty
Win a
pretty
championship.
easily win a cup. Pretty
Yeah.
easily,
Yeah.
right? I kind of coasted through that.
The team was so stacked that he just had to play mediocre to get
And I mean,
cup.
Francouz also won some of those games too, so I can't give Darcy Kemper all the credit there. But I think that's a downgrading goal for sure. But when you have McKinnon, Makar, Hart, one's a Norris Trophy, perennial Norris Trophy candidate, probably going to win it again. But also probably could be considered for the Hart. And you have the same for Nathan McKinnon, who could be considered for the Hart. And you match that with Rantanen and Landeskog and, the rest of the roster and some very good coaching and, solid defensive core. They should easily win this division. Easily.
Yeah.
And probably come out of the West and, probably still a favorite to win the cup. But even if they are a slight downgrade from last season, they were so far ahead of everybody else as far as complete roster goes that they could take a hit and still be considered the Stanley Cup favorite.
Yeah.
But if goaltending, if Georgiev can just be good enough, right? But, Kemper's numbers in the regular season were amazing. And so, he's going to have some of that. But you also saw Grubauer was a Vezina Trophy finalist, and now he goes to Seattle, and he's pretty pedestrian. So you could get Georgiev getting like Vezina Trophy consideration just because he's on a completely stacked team.
Watching Georgiev, and I didn't mean to cut you off, Spuddy, sorry. But I would say Georgiev did play very well for the Rangers. They actually thought at one time that he was the goalie of the future before Shesterkin really took that net. He has the talent. And he could be someone that, you turn back around and be like, that's another great trade. Good job for, Joe Sakic.
5-2.
I saw that. They have $1.9 million in cap space. We can see if they can get a trade going in the towards the deadline to kind of beef up that team. But your top line, Arturi Lehkonen, McKinnon, and Rantanen, and then your second line with Newhook, Nishushkin, and Landeskog is crazy. It's such a loaded team. And I did like, Steve, that you said Cale Makar is a Hart Trophy kind of candidate. I said that last year, and you looked at me like I had third eye. So it's he really is that good, Cale Makar. He's all world, and I think I'm going to say it. I think he's the best player on that team, and that's on a team with Nathan McKinnon. I really think he's that good of a player. And
I actually think they got him at a discount. They got him at a discount, I think. So I think that could make up for the Makar contract.
Or the McKinnon, yeah.
I'm sorry,
$9 million
McKinnon, yes.
for $9 million for 5 years. My boy Adam Fox is making $9.5 for 8 years. So it's a fantastic contract.
Seth Jones is too.
So good. Yeah, real bad. Just amazing. All right, that was the Central. We are absolutely looking forward to talking about the Metro and the Atlantic next week. Schwinn will be back. We'll obviously be chatting about that a little bit. Yeah, he'll be back.
Potentially.
He'll be back. He's like he's like that little festering bug that just doesn't want to go away.
Like herpes.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go that far, but yeah, like herpes. We got some good stuff coming up. Obviously, we're really looking forward to this season starting, and we're gonna have some fun, little intricacies for the week slates and stuff. And unless I get injured, Shroom says. All right, Leo, we would love to have you take a spot every once in a while. So we actually are gonna get some fan interaction on here, bringing some people.
Yeah.
Obviously,
we're
Devils homers. We don't need
from,
too much of you.
We're gonna have to do a live event.
We only got one right now.
Yeah, but I don't need any more.
We're going to have an event and get some of you guys to come and just come on and give all your thoughts and prove us all wrong.
Yeah.
All wrong.
That's easy for me, but.
All right. I actually didn't have
take Shroom's spot.
Trivia.
Yeah.
You could definitely take Shroom's spot. That's easy.
Says something about Phil Kessel, didn't you?
Who?
You.
No, I think his little thing about Phil Kessel was the one shift.
Yeah, just the one shift. Yeah. All right, here's my little trivia question. It's the first time since 1979, speaking of the last Stanley Cup final, that a teammate of Jaromir Jagr had not played in the Stanley Cup final. So it was the first time since 1979 that one of Jagr's former teammates did not play in the Stanley Cup final. So that was 24 years. Yeah, 24 years. 44 years of Jagr teammates. That's crazy.
That is wild.
And he's still
Very
playing.
much so.
Yeah, the guy is ridiculous. All right,
He can
my
play for
beer.
He can come play for Bone Storm.
I'll hire him. Yeah, 4.25. Obviously, thank you, Nightmare.
I'll give mine a 3.5.
3.5. I like it.
I'm gonna give my Apper Hop a 4.25.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
I love that
yeah.
hops.
That's what I like.
Schwim, take her home. Actually, you know what? I'm not even
Take-
screw you, Schwim. Shorts guy,
Shouldn't
take her home.
home.
Schwim's not here, so does he
Have
sound
fun.
like a man who's had all he could eat?